Let's talk about a story that you've probably seen play out a dozen times. You take your absolute best salesperson, that total rock star who just crushes their quota every single quarter, and you promote them to sales manager. I mean, it seems like the most obvious, logical move in the world, right? But so often, it just backfires spectacularly.
And I'm not just talking anecdotally here. The numbers are actually pretty shocking. Research shows that a whopping 85% of those superstar reps fail when they're promoted into management. 85%? Let that sink in. That's not just a small hiccup, it's practically a guarantee. So the move that's supposed to create a great leader ends up losing you a fantastic seller and giving you a struggling manager.
So what is the deal here? Why does a promotion that looks so perfect on paper so often end in disaster for everyone involved? The new manager, their team, and the whole company. Well, that's exactly what we're going to break down.
Okay, so the very first thing we have to get our heads around is that moving from sales rep to sales manager isn't just a step up, it's a totally different career. It's a full-on identity change, and the very skills and the mindset that made someone a top performer can actually become their biggest weaknesses as a leader.
This slide really lays it all out. Think about the world of a sales rep. They're independent, right? They're lone wolves. Their success is their own, and they run on that instant hit of gratification you get from closing a deal. Their whole mindset is, if I want it done right, I got to do it myself. But the moment they become a manager, that entire world flips upside down. Suddenly, their success is completely dependent on other people. Gratification is no longer immediate, it's delayed. It comes from the team hitting a quarterly goal. The mindset has to shift from do it yourself to do it through others. And that is a huge, huge psychological leap.
And because that leap is so difficult, new managers almost always fall into these really common traps. They were superstars, so they have these totally unrealistic expectations for their team. They're thinking, why can't everyone just do it the way I did it? And when a deal gets tricky, their gut instinct is to jump in and take over, to sell for their rep instead of actually coaching them. They really struggle to teach those intuitive skills, the art of selling that just came naturally to them. They stay stuck looking at individual deals when what their team really needs is a leader with a big picture panoramic view.
But it's not always just the new manager's fault. A lot of the time, the company itself is setting them up to fail. And as sales expert Mike Weinberg puts it so perfectly, you just can't lead a team when you're buried in administrative garbage.
And you've seen this, right? Companies just pile on all these tasks that have absolutely nothing to do with driving sales. The sales manager gets pulled into meetings about production schedules. They have to plan team building events, and they often end up being the go-to person for customer service fires. All of this stuff feels urgent, but it's pulling them away from their number one job, leading the sales team. And this quote, oh man, this just nails the modern version of that same problem. We live in this age of data, and so many new managers just get stuck chained to their desk, staring at CRM dashboards. They start to believe that monitoring reports is the same thing as leading people. And it's not even close.
And this creates a totally backward culture. The manager is feeling pressure from above to make sure the CRM is filled out, so they start hounding their team about data entry. And the message the team hears is loud and clear. It is more important to update the system than it is to close a deal. So what do? They spend their time doing admin work instead of selling, because they know they'll get in more trouble for a missing CRM entry than for a missed sales goal. It's completely insane. So, what's the answer? Well, to succeed, the new manager has to make a very deliberate pivot. They have to evolve from being the star player on the field to being the coach on the sidelines. Their whole job description has to change.
This quote from Mike Weinberg just gets right to the heart of it. It is a fundamental choice of identity. Are you still trying to be the hero who swoops in at the last minute to save the big deal? Or is your new mission to make heroes out of every single person on your team?
This changes everything. It means the primary job of a sales manager is not hitting a number. It's developing people. Because when you have a team of well-coached, well-prepared, confident reps, things like goal attainment, productivity, profitability, all of that stuff just naturally follows. You focus on the people, and the people will get you the numbers.
This means your personal scoreboard has to change completely. The win isn't your commission check anymore. The win is the whole team blowing past its quota. It's the rookie on your team closing their first huge deal. Your success is now just a reflection of their success.
Okay, so we've talked a lot about the mindset shift. But talk is one thing. How do you actually put this into practice? Well, it all comes down to a clear playbook that's built on 3 pillars of leadership:
These are the 3 core jobs of any great sales manager today. First, you have to build the right team from the very beginning. Second, you coach that team relentlessly to get the best performance out of him. And third, you create a system, a structure that makes it possible for everyone to win.
So, building the team. This starts way before you even post a job ad. You got to define the job first. What does the role actually entail before you define the ideal candidate? And hire for those intangible things like grit, creativity, and empathy, not just a fancy resume. And please, involve your team in the hiring process. Their buying is absolutely critical. And remember, onboarding is not a one-day event. It's a long-term process that should pair up your new people with veteran mentors.
All right, coaching. This is where you actually make your heroes. This means your team meetings have to be purposeful, they should motivate and inform, not just be a boring status update. It means you're doing weekly one-on-ones where your main job is to listen, not to talk. You have to dig in and understand what really motivates each person on your team. Then you can coach them individually, using things like role-playing to really sharpen their skills before a big call.
And this quote from Heather Vreeland just captures the whole spirit of great coaching. It's about servant leadership. Your first question in a one-on-one shouldn't be, so where are we with that big deal? It should be, what do you need from me? How can I help you win?
And finally, you have to provide structure. Even the best players need a great playbook. This means having a formal, documented sales process so there's no confusion about the next step. It means you're arming them with the tools they need, scripts, templates, case studies, you name it. And it means using that CRM as a tool to help and guide your reps, not as a weapon to police their every move.
So let's say you've done all this. You've made the mindset shift. You're executing the playbook. So how do you know if it's actually working? Well, the old scoreboard doesn't apply anymore. You need a new one.
The fundamental change is really this simple. Stop measuring busyness and start measuring impact, period. A report showing that your team made 1,000 calls last week means absolutely nothing if none of them led anywhere. That's just a measure of being busy, not of being effective. This table shows you exactly how to make that pivot. So instead of just looking at the raw number of activities, start tracking your conversion rate at each stage of the sales process. That's what's going to show you where your process is broken. Instead of just looking at total sales, analyze the quality of the activities. What are your top reps actually doing that leads to a win? And forget just counting the number of leads, start measuring how many of those are actually qualified. It's all about quality over quantity. Because at the end of the day, the real measure of a great sales manager isn't just hitting the number for one quarter. It's about building a team and a culture that performs consistently, quarter after quarter, year after year. It's about building an engine for growth that will last.
So that really is the ultimate question that every leader has to ask themselves. Are you just trying to build a bigger scoreboard for yourself, to add another personal achievement to your resume? Or are you trying to build a lasting legacy through the people you develop and the heroes you help create? The answer to that question will define everything.